Welcome to the BTM Podcast, where we bring you the nerdy discussions on topics, no matter how old or new. We strive to bring that entertainment to you. I am your host, the man that strikes the audience with a booming voice, Black Thunder 914, along with my co-host that puts the roll in troll. Give it up for my sugar.
Hey, what's up, guys? I love that energy.
Hell yeah, man. The electricity is in the air. All right. So now we are going to be talking about what?
Today we're going to be talking about reboots, remakes, remasters, kind of general thoughts. Should you, shouldn't you? What's our good examples, bad examples? Is anything like
Are
that?
there any pros and cons, et cetera, et cetera? Are there
Yeah.
times when you shouldn't do it,
Yeah.
even though you just said that like 2 seconds ago? Let's.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. I got a bad memory, so you never.
Hey, man, it's good reinforcement.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no. It's something that I feel very strongly about, and I know there's a lot of, like misinformation about a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know what they are a lot of times. So I think it's good to bring that up.
Yeah, good point, good point. Okay, so like before we get into the discussion, there are differences between remake and remaster. It's good to know the difference. So
Yep.
pretty much remake, think of it as like the VHS tape that you had that has your favorite movie in it, like Peter Pan or whatever. Jesus Christ, we're old.
Oh my God. Which is ironic because Peter Pan doesn't age.
For real. So think of like Peter Pan on that VHS tape, and then it moves on to DVD. And thanks to DVD, there's more space on it compared to the VHS tape. And because of that, there's actually more reason to make the content that's on that tape more visually pleasing. And then DVD onto Blu-ray, which is high resolution. That's pretty much remake. Or wait, no, that's remaster.
Remaster,
God
yes.
damn.
Yep, I know, yeah. Remaster. And no, it's easy to get mixed up, and that's why I want to say this now, just because it's so easy to get mixed up. And I do that too, so don't feel bad. It's not just you.
And then there's remakes. Did I get that right this time?
Yeah, you got it. No, you got it.
Okay. And then next there's remakes, which it's basically a complete overhaul change of the content, which is, think of it this way, flip phones being compared to the smartphones or converted into the smartphones now.
Yeah,
That's pretty much what a remake is.
it's like same ideas, but like more modernized and hopefully better. Hopefully, not always the case, but
Emphasis, hopefully.
yeah, exactly. Yep. And then the other one I wanted to mention was reboot as well.
Oh yeah. Go into detail about that.
There's like soft reboot, hard reboot. Soft reboot is like they're staying in the same world, they have the same characters, basically the same things are happening, and they're just adding on and kind of moving on from it, but not really dwelling on past things. Where
Yeah.
hard reboot is like they're completely resetting everything, new backstories, things like that. Think of like the new Suicide Squad, for instance, is like a hard reboot as opposed to the last Suicide Squad movie. I kind of like that. So I just wanted to stipulate that as well, because that's another thing that comes up too.
Yeah, no, yeah, I got that. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know that existed. That's actually very
Yeah,
interesting.
well, yeah, yep.
I didn't know there was subgenres of reboot. That's
Yep,
actually very
yep.
interesting to
There's
know.
different ways of handling it. Yep.
Good to know. Good to know.
Mm.
So yeah, let's see. What should we talk about? There's like so much to discuss about this topic.
I think if we stay with a certain medium first, we could go from there. Like, I think we could start with like movies, and then we could go to like games and shows and things like that. Like too. I think movies is a good start.
Movies, okay, so remakes have been like a heavily common thing, like way back then when movies didn't have sound.
Mhm.
Pretty much the reason why remakes existed or exist is because of the fact that there was like certain limitations that you had when it came to making a movie. Like basically what I just said, there was no sound equipment made, so they just had to replace everything with orchestral music to fit the tone of the story.
Mhm.
So remakes were made to add on to that content to make it more immersive.
Mhm.
So in other words, the movie that didn't have sound or dialogue now has that. There's more sound from the environment. There's more interaction. You have a better interpretation of what these characters' emotions are from scene to scene, and then some.
Well, and sometimes they add like new scenes, like CG, like updated things, or like like a good example is like Star Wars did that. Like they have the original with like the practical effects, and then later on they'll add like more CG. And some people are like purists and only like the original, and some like you know what I mean, don't mind
Oh,
the new
oh,
ones.
good, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah, no, yeah. It's like I'm glad you brought that up because like when it came to like the new Star Wars, I liked what they were doing in regards to the environment, even though I feel like the world building isn't that great compared to the
oh yeah,
original.
oh definitely.
It was definitely high res compared to the original, but at the same
Mhm.
time, though, not original. When it came to like the Star Wars from back in the day, but then
Yeah,
again, the first Star Wars came like what the 70s.
yeah, it was the 70s, which is crazy to think it's that old and it's still going. But,
For real, my
you know,
God.
they like to milk that cow, you know.
For real. But no, at the same time, though, back then, though, they at least gave a crap compared to, you know what? This is going to turn into another discussion
Yeah, yeah.
because
I feel like that's a good discussion for another podcast, which is good. So
I agree.
we'll pocket that. But yes, there's a lot I could say about that.
If you guys want to hear our opinions on the recent Star Wars, let us know. We'd be more
Yes,
than happy to.
but
We'll put
yes,
it more on the back burner.
but at least the scope for this conversation is more about like the remake and reboot side of it. You know,
Exactly.
you know.
So there's like a particular thing that you should take in consideration or question you should take in consideration when it comes to that. And that's does this need a reboot
Hmm.
or remake or remaster?
Hmm.
And if the answer is yes, if
You know.
something needs either like a reboot, remake, remaster, you have to like take consideration of why do you need this
Mhm.
to happen. And like how I think of it is that well, technology was limited around the time that this was made. Perfect example, Resident Evil 2.
Mhm.
Like I know where we say we're going to start off with movies, but this is just an example.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Resident Evil, it was like very blocky. There's like stiff controls, but at the same time though, it still maintained that horror aspect, which is what made the game
That's not very
heavily
nice.
well known. I'm just
I wouldn't call him a horror.
hey man, just saying man, I'm just saying how it is, bro. I mean, bro, have you seen Leon?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All these female zombies walking up in this mansion and they spot this guy. Man, they're looking for a meal. They're looking for a snack, boy. Being all like, hello there. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. He is the like of all the pantries in the mansion, he's the best snack in it.
Like num num nums. Give me on them cracker bits.
Yeah, god damn it. Nice. Well, yeah, exactly. Like, let's say a movie is like really old and they just want to like freshen it up, bring it to higher resolution, maybe sharpen it a bit. It's kind of like restoring like old art. Like, it's still keeping what it is, but like they're just making it seem sharper, you know what I mean? And making it like so it's not in 240p.
Oh
You know what I
God, old
mean?
YouTube.
Yeah, old YouTube videos, you know what I mean? So it's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of, and that's kind of what the remaster kind of does. And the movies, I think, is really nice for that because a lot of these movies, I mean, look at, I was rewatching the first Fantasia, and what year
Mm-hmm.
was that? That was like, let me see, let me double check. Fantasia 1, what year was that? 1940. And it doesn't feel like that because it's so crisp and it feels still like it holds up so well, but that's because of the work that they've done to keep it. And also audio too. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
not even just visually, but audio. It really helps preserve this for like a modern audience to see it, you know.
It makes it more immersive. You can hear the
Yes.
visual cues just
Yes.
there. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think Disney Plus is like a good example because I've been able to see that ever since I got Disney Plus. Like looking back at these old movies, I'm like, man, this is crazy how good they still look. And they are touched up, but the fact that they only just need to be touched up and brought forward to
Yes.
really still shine is something I would definitely commend Disney for. You
Oh
know.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, so yeah, that's stuff that I like in regards to remasters and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's like I guess that's like the one thing that I actually appreciate when it comes to remastered movies. But when it comes to reboots or rebooting, not rebooting,
Remake.
remaking
Yeah.
or like remaking when it comes to the movies, that's where they mess up on.
Yeah. the way they look at it, they're like, is how can we take this classic story and bring it to a modern audience? But that doesn't always translate well. And also, original movies, the reason why they're a classic is there's a reason for that. So like trying to change it is kind of like counterintuitive in a lot
I
of ways. Like,
agree.
and,
Yes.
and like, and my thing is, if you're really gonna remake something, add something of value to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of movies that try to remake it just don't feel like they add a lot of value. It's just, hey guys, you guys liked Aladdin, right? Well, here you go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really add anything
Yeah,
of value, you know?
exactly. Like, hey, y'all like Lion King, right? Well, here it is, live action, except with lions
Yeah,
that have no expression whatsoever.
yeah,
And we're
yeah,
saying, can you feel the love tonight? Even though the setting is being played during the day.
yeah, yeah.
The one thing that's simple, you can't even get that right.
Like, it's cool that we have the technology to do it and it looks so realistic, but like, realism doesn't work for cartoons. There's a
I
reason why
agree.
cartoons are cartoons. It's because they're not realistic. Animals have personalities, they have looks on their face. And a good example is like, you know, when Mufasa dies and Simba's like screaming. In the
Yes.
remake, he's like, "Ah, oh no. Oh, no," like, oh god, wow, like a minor inconvenience. But in the original, like you see like the terror on his face and like how like it just does not translate. It really doesn't. Yeah, his face doesn't really move.
It doesn't translate. That's the thing. And going back to what you just said about the realism, because like, yes, I get it. These are
No.
lions. Yeah, you would definitely like to make something of that regards to these creatures that are actually realistic in our world. However,
Mhm.
there are times where you have to break that status quo and
Right.
make it more animated.
Right. Exactly. And that's kind of the point. And like another weird thing I want to bring up about Lion King is it's like it's weird because it doesn't add anything new. It
It
just does
doesn't.
it does the same thing but worse. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like trying to it's like you might as well have just like it's literally the exact movie like scene for scene and it's like why do I even need to waste my time like seeing this realistically when I would and maybe I'm a little biased. I might be a little biased to the original, but like I feel like if you're gonna remake it and make it something new and like not just copy and paste it and then make it up. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it just feels like a waste of time. It really does. And I don't feel like it brings it to a modern audience. I feel like if I had kids and I were to show them this story, I would bring it to the story that translates its emotions and what it's trying to convey
Mm-hmm.
well, and not just because it looks pretty and we're just flexing,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and we want to sell more, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like it, it's just and that's why that one blows my mind because at least the other like remakes they at least add something at least but like this literally didn't add anything. It's like all right, you just do the same thing but worse. Good job.
You know what
You
I thought
know
that they were gonna be doing in the Lion King remake though?
what?
Giving us backstory of Scar.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
mean,
thought
like
so too.
I heard that or read something where like his original name wasn't Scar. I can't remember the actual name, but it was basically just a nickname because of that scar he has on his eye or face
Yeah,
or whatever.
right,
Yeah.
right,
So like
exactly.
I thought they were gonna do something different in regards to showing like a little bit of background as to
Yeah.
why Scar is the way he is. But it's basically what you
Hmm.
just said. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. They don't add anything. It has no substance. And it's like I'm not gonna lie. I was actually, oh my god. Like when I went to go see this in the movies, it's like, are we in a movie theater or are we at a damn slumber party?
Hmm.
I mean, the only two characters that were good or decent was Puma and Timon. But
Hmm.
even that doesn't say much.
No, it really doesn't.
Even
And
like
like
that final roar
yes.
that happens when he stands at the top of Pride Rock. Uh,
Hmm.
like Simba just like climbs up to Pride Rock and then looks upon all the lionesses and then just gives like a big belching roar.
Hmm.
Even something that's simple again,
Hmm.
they mess up.
Well, and like, what was it? The really emotional scene when Mufasa's like talking to Simba like in the sky and shit was like
Yes.
I was like so emotional in the movie. Like in the original, it was so emotional, and I loved that. Like you really get to see a set of weakness.
remember who you are.
Right. And like, granted, they did bring James Earl Jones back for Mufasa. I mean, who else is gonna play Mufasa? But still, like, you know what I mean? It's just like I love James Earl Jones, but like, it's not just his voice. It's like just the context of it and how it's shown. You know what I mean?
And what cracks me up is the
Like,
fact that when I listen to like Mufasa's lines, James Earl Jones just sound bored.
yeah, he does. He really does.
It's
You're
like,
right.
wait a minute, haven't I said these exact same lines 20, 30 years ago?
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
But yeah, in regards to Disney remakes and stuff like that, in my opinion, when it comes to like movies and stuff like that, it doesn't hold much weight compared to video games. In my opinion,
Yeah.
movie remakes of like old time classics, they're freaking terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's just my opinion because I haven't seen many good remakes.
Yeah, and like I'm totally open to remakes and things like that. Like I'll always give them a shot, but just I have never been like, wow, I'm glad they made this. Like I've never felt that way. It's and I am glad that people do like appreciate and like these. Like because I've talked to people that do really like them, and I'm glad they do.
Yeah.
But just for me, it just doesn't do much, you know. And maybe again, maybe I'm just really biased because I grew up with the originals, and I'm not going to deny that that's an that could be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But just that's just that's how I feel.
110%. But yeah, let's go on to. Shall we move on to video games, or is there something you want to get off your chest on movies?
I think I got everything for movies, honestly.
For sure. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, like movies versus video games. Movie remakes, they're just not as I don't know what it is, man. It's just they just don't hold much weight compared to its predecessor.
Hmm.
But like when it comes to video games, like revamping the entirety of the original, it's so much better. And I think I know why. When it comes to video games and movies, you get more of a different type of immersion or a different way of absorbing the content. It's pretty much the reason why when it comes to video game movies, people don't feel the same way when they watch like let's say like the Silent Hill movie. The reason why they
Hmm.
don't feel the same terror from watching the movie
Hmm.
compared to how they played it in the video games.
Yep.
It's a different immersional aspect, and plus you spend more time on the video games. Like movie,
Oh, much more.
yeah, movies on average is like what 2.5 hours,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
whereas like video games like is pretty much on average like 20, 30 hours, maybe even more, depending on if you're trying to collect everything.
Hmm. And also, like, there's a lot more time and care that goes into video games because,
Mm-hmm.
like, movies are like what you see is what you get, but there's so much behind the scenes in a video game and like game feel, and it's more than just how it looks. Like, there's so much more to a video game
Yes.
than like a movie ever could. You know what I mean? So that's why I think a lot more time is put in, and it's like, and not that movies aren't a big investment, but games are a huge investment, and like, there's just so much more that you can mess up. You know what I mean? So I think that might be why, and that's not always the case. They're not always better,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's definitely a lot more. It seems like there's a lot more care put into video game remakes.
And that's sad because
It is.
because like when it comes to remakes of movies and stuff like that, I mean, I wish the directors spend more time on the movies like how these people in the video game industry do with their remakes and their like a step by step, detail by
Right.
detail process. I
Right.
mean, like, I
Right.
think you can actually, well, now I think about it, I think it's because when it comes to movies, Hollywood has this standard. So it's like, I can understand why grand portion of remade movies are
Yeah.
garbage because they are held to a standard and they are told to make it in a certain way.
Hmm.
It's in other words, they don't have much creative liberty compared to like a company like give me some companies who remade their games.
Like Naughty Dog, like Square Enix, Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Whereas like those game companies actually have their own creatives. They don't
Well,
have they don't have someone breathing down their neck when it comes to
Well,
making
and
the
not only
process.
that, and also doesn't even have to be the same company. Like for instance, Blue Point Games, like they take original games, like they did Shadow of the Colossus's remake, and they did Demon Souls.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have to be in the same company. It's sometimes not even the same people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, but they put so much time and care into it, and it makes you feel bad for running through games. Like I physically feel like I'm committing a crime by not looking at every little detail in a game and taking my time. Like when I played Demon Souls or Shadow of the Colossus, the
Mm-hmm.
remakes, I was like, this is insane. Just the scope is just unbelievable. Like
Bro.
it's just unbelievable, and I love it.
That's
I love every bit
that's
of it.
that's me with like RPGs back in the day where like I just don't grasp like the environment or grasp the story. I just whenever there's like cutscenes or whatever, I legit just skip them every time. And I wonder why I get confused as the story progresses.
Well, and what I was saying is like you get so wrapped up in the story that you forget to take your time and really enjoy it. And I feel that way about like comics and manga too. Like sometimes you forget
Yes.
how good the art is and everything is so well put together because you just want to see what happens. But
Mm-hmm.
like you miss out on all these insanely good like spreads of 2-page spreads and art and just like my
Yes.
God, like you just want to know what happens. Like, but like there's so much care that's put into it, and I just wish people would like I don't know and acknowledge that a bit more
I agree.
because video games especially are always like that's not real art. It's like I'm sorry, every type of art is basically in video games, like art, 3D modeling, game design in general as its own art piece, music, Foley artists, like
Foley,
everything goes into
yeah.
this. Like it's just there's so much more to think about in a video game than any medium of like painting or like making
Yes.
music. Like it's all of it in one, and I'm not saying it's better. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying like to say that it's not art is like, well, first of all, anyone that says anything isn't art is a prick. But
Like
secondly,
that author who wrote that book on dragons, games being all up in the thrones, and coming of the winter.
yeah, yes, but just in general, like people really need to realize how much that goes into these. It's nuts. It really is. Like I can't even begin to wrap my head around making even a decent video game. Like
110%.
you know, like
And it's
it's
not only that, but it's like when it comes to I actually heard this, and I'm not sure this is 100% true, but there are times where when it comes to these AAA titles, it's like they have like tens of like hundreds of people come in to test the game.
yeah.
When it comes to video games, the biggest thing is, like I said before, immersion and pray and hope that when it comes, like, let's say I'm the producer, right? You want the person who's playing the game to see what you see when you were writing what was going on in this game and
Mhm,
how it progresses. If it's exactly or shit even close, like to the interpretation,
mhm,
you did something phenomenal and it translates well.
mhm.
So yeah, it's like it takes a lot, emphasis a lot to make a game as good as it is. Like perfect example, like Last of Us or what else? Spyro, Crash, Resident Evil games, stuff like that.
Yeah. So now imagine like how hard it is to make like a great video game.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine being tasked with a video game that has stood the test of time and now bringing that to the modern stage. I don't think that that is like completely respected of how hard that is with all of these fans, with all of these differing expectations that you need to fill because you need to come up with not only art and stuff, but new systems, new ways of how this is going to feel modern and like what you're going to like it's just a daunting task, and I think one of the best examples of it is the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yep.
I
Yep.
that is like
Mm-hmm.
in my and I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I just my mind was blown at how well they did bringing that to the modern age. It was just unbelievable. Like it was so worth the wait for me, and I don't mind waiting for the other parts. Everyone bitches about the parts, but like when you realize in just this small portion of the game how much they had to do and how well they did it, it's just it is mind blowing. Like
Yeah,
it.
Mashika loved this game so much he pretty much just cast a water gun in his pants, pretty much.
Yes, no, I did. I did. I remember when it was first announced in like 2015, like freaking out. When I finally got the game, I'm like, this is like all of my expectations times 10. Like Yeah, like it was beautiful. The music was all like redone, like
Mm-hmm.
visually, the fighting, the combat systems, the mini games, like just everything just came together so fucking well. And the way that they wrote the story, a lot of people hate, but I really loved. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I love how they did it, and I love that they still include the original canon as well.
Yes.
And then they kind of bring it like this is like a cycle almost. You know what I mean? And like I think it's the best way to be like, yes, if you played the original, there's gonna be shit here for you, but like it's still gonna be a modern game. And I think they pulled it off so well. And I cannot suck that game's dick anymore. like holy
Holy
shit. Like I loved it. Like I was like, I used to ask my girlfriend because she was watching videos on her phone while I was playing, and I was just like, oh my god. Like I was like, I loved it. I was just like, my boy Roach. I was like, yeah, let's go. Like I was so like I was freaking out and I loved it.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought they're gonna make Rude like the dude with the sunglasses. I thought he was gonna be just a stereotypical boring grunt. But
He was a fucking badass,
dude. I can't tell you how much he whipped my ass.
Dude, you know, and like I loved it, like just how you're like, God damn! Like every time he did like a suplex, you're like, holy fuck! Like you're like, God damn!
The suplex, the spinning shit. Oh my god!
And Reno too. Like Reno's fight was super fun. Like
Reno, oh my god,
dude, I loved it, and like, oh, I loved it. It was just, and it was like watching. Like you remember watching Advent Children back in the day, and having that, but like in a game, it's just like it's unbelievable. Like I love it. A lot of people hate Advent Children. I fucking love Advent Children. It may be edgy and trash, weeb trash. I don't care.
Like I give a shit.
I don't give a shit. I love it.
I mean, shit. Reason why I love that game. There is a game, movie. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Some fan I am, right? But no, yeah, I love that movie because of the fan service and the fact that and the fact that they just got all the flipping characters to get, even like the optional ones, like they got Yuffie in there. Like, what? You got Yuffie and you got freaking what's the vampire dude? Help
Vincent.
me. Vincent. You got freaking Vincent in here? Like, oh my god.
I swear in the second part when Vincent comes out, I'm probably gonna shit myself. I shit myself when they added the Yuffie DLC, and she looks amazing. Okay, we need to stop talking about this because this is getting off track.
No doubt, man, no doubt.
So anyway, we think Final Fantasy VII Remake it's okay.
Yes. The quality of this game is above cheap beer, but below fine wine.
It's fine. But anyway.
But I'm gonna say something that'll probably be like not even controversial. Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil 2 are games that actually do the game right, or in other words, they are actually almost perfect remakes / remasters.
And not only do they remake it, but like they add so much to the table.
That's the thing, like, exactly.
Yes, same way. I could equally gush and suck Resident Evil 2 remakes as well, easily. But because like
man, you're gonna break your dick so hard. Not even Kuraga's gonna heal that shit.
No, yeah, not even
a first aid spray can heal that.
Yeah, not first aid spray, not Kuraja, any kind of fucking yeah. Exactly.
No green stuff will heal that.
And like, funny about it is like you can really gauge it also by like just how people talk about it. So when they remade Resident Evil 3, for instance, like it was good. Like it was a solid go. But like when 2 came out, people who don't even play Resident Evil, don't even play video games, knew about it. Everyone was like, holy fuck. It was like literally the second coming of Christ. Literally the second coming of Christ. Like it really was. Like
I've met people who haven't played one Resident Evil title like ever in their lives. And they played Resident Evil 2 as a zombie starter.
And it's like what a one to start on. Like, whew. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good.
It's like when it comes to remakes and reasoning as to why you need remakes and why it's necessary, there's the question, remain in regards to like, is it needed? Do you need a remake? And if so, why? Well, like I said, technological limitations.
Yeah.
Because you have like the freaking tank controls of Resident Evil 2, like the blocky polygon looking textures.
And even like the puzzles and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And like as much as I love the originals, like they'll still be there and I'll still replay them. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up. I hate when they remake something and they just get rid of the original as if like it's just the better version. But like
Expand on that. What do you mean?
so like for instance, the remake for Resident Evil 2 came out. So
Mhm.
I know people that are like, "Oh, I'm not even going to bother replaying the original." And it's a completely separate experience, and I still think that it's worth your time, but that's my opinion. But like I hate when people are so quick to write off the old one as if like, you know what I mean? Like the reason why it's being remade and why so many people love it, I still think you should see why people found it so special. If
Mhm.
you want, at least be open to it. You
Yes.
know, and so that's why for me, whenever I get a remake, I will always keep the original as well. You know,
Mhm.
because
Yes.
and that's a big thing I wanted to stress because again, I know people that are like, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm like, I really think you should. Like, as much
Yes.
as terrible as that acting was, the blocky graphics, the stupid controls, I still love it to fucking death. And I know I may sound like a boomer, but I do.
Bro, I still got major PTSD playing that game as a kid.
Oh god, yeah. And like,
I
yeah,
played
I
it.
love
Bro,
it.
the game is actually, I'm not gonna lie, even though RE2 Remake is great with the graphics along with other areas, like the old Resident Evil 2 is still scary and creepy.
It is.
because
Well,
of
it's scary in a different kind of way.
Exactly, because when it comes to Resident Evil 2, like the remake, the camera follows you around. Whereas, like, when it comes to the old Resident Evil, there's fixed cameras. So, in other words, it's like you can't
Yep.
control it. And, like, when you move to, like, different areas of, like, a room or something like that, it switches to, like, a different perspective. So, in other words, you could be, like, facing you, right, in, like, a horizontal way. But then, like, when you move to, like, a different section of the room where, like, it looks like it's cut off, then now you're like in like a above perspective, or like the camera's in
Yeah.
the ceiling or something like that looking at you.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
and that's why it's creepy, because I can't tell you how many times I shit my pants whenever I ran into a zombie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and I think the thing that, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I could do a whole video on just
Oh
Resident
yeah.
Evil.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say though is a lot of people are like, "Oh, I hate the fixed camera. It's so rudimentary." But like I would argue that it's a limitation that actually made it more compelling
I
because
agree.
horror is all about disempowering you and making you feel small and like you can't defend yourself. And not only do you not know what's around the next corner
Mm-hmm.
and like you know you have limited ammo, but also whenever you watch a movie, what are the shots that are the ones that make you take a back? They're the wide cinematic ones, and that's what the
Mm-hmm.
game is. It's full of these wide cinematic shots,
Yes.
and it just feel it. I don't know. It has such a different feel to it than being over the shoulder like the new one is. Which don't get me wrong, I love it, but like it has a completely different feel in my opinion.
Agreed.
You know, and I think a lot of people just graze over that, and that's fine. But like that's I will stand by it. Like I love it. You know, but I'm gonna leave it at that because
Yeah, no, I feel that. So yeah, going back to what I was saying, Resident Evil 2 remake and Final Fantasy 7 remake are probably the perfect example of what a remake
yeah,
should
yeah.
be.
What you
Because
should strive to be. Yeah.
or strive to be, exactly, because
Yeah.
and the reason why we say that is because, well, I say that is because pretty much what Mashika just said, it brings the original story but adds more to it. It's the reason why the like Lion King was freaking garbage,
Yeah.
because it's the same damn thing but with just blank slate models.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like when it comes to like Resident Evil 2, there's like this tall, intimidating figure that follows you around called Mr. X.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to Resident Evil 2, like the very old iteration, he only follows you around specific sections of the building.
Yeah, yeah, it's scripted. But
Exactly.
like, granted, as a kid, you don't know that and it's scary. But now that you're older and that you realize how scripting works, when you replay it, it's not as scary. But this game adds to it in the sense that he can pop up literally anywhere, well, almost everywhere.
Yeah.
But you never feel safe, and it kind of reminds you of when you were a kid and you didn't understand
Mm-hmm.
scripting, and like, because when you were a kid, you think he will bust out of any wall, like, you know what I mean? And there is it's so much more terrifying that way. And that's why that same feeling, even though it's different, that same feeling got transferred to this game in a completely different way. And I really love how they did that. Now, he may get annoying at times, but I still think
Mm-hmm.
that the pros outweigh the cons for that one. You know what I mean? And that's why Resident Evil 2 is a good example of that. Like, the same feeling and tension brought to the modern stage in a completely different way, but the same feeling is brought to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great example of it. Yes.
And then moving on to Final Fantasy VII, and the reason why that does well is not only because of the voice acting, because Final Fantasy VII wasn't voice acted,
Yep.
or Final Fantasy didn't get any voice acting until like the 10th iteration.
Yep.
So like,
Oh
my fucking god! Look up Laugh from Final Fantasy X, and you'll
Yeah.
understand what the fuck that is. God damn it!
Titus or Titus or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
We're not
Also,
talking. We're not
yeah,
talking
we're
about.
not
We're not
gonna-
talking about that. This is gonna aggravate me. Continue.
also whether it's Aerith or Ares.
Oh my fucking god! That it's like that was a big argument back in
Yeah.
like when I was in 7th grade, being
Yeah.
like, bro,
Yeah.
I like using Aerith. I mean, you mean Ares? No, it's Aerith. I mean, like it's
Yeah,
Ares. It's Aerith,
yeah,
bro. It's fucking
like,
Aerith.
dude,
It says right there.
it's
Where the
fucking
fuck is Ares
Aerith.
coming from?
It's fucking Aerith, and Ares was a well-known mistranslation, so it is Aerith.
It is Aerith. Exactly.
It is Aerith.
And I am happy that
And-
they brought that to light in the remake. Jesus Christ.
Yes, I am too. It made a lot of people salty, but I don't give a fuck.
But no, yeah, like even though like when it came to Final Fantasy VII, like the old one, and back on like the PlayStation days, like even though it didn't have any voice acting, what made it memorable is the dialogue between the characters, the dark and brooding story, especially when you find out Sephiroth's backstory and the reason and you see why he's so fucked up in the head.
Yep. And like his connection to Cloud and everything and how it all comes together. Yeah, it's great. I love it. It's so good. That's why I'm excited to see how they bring that further to light in the next one.
And then you bring that over to the remake, which is like these characters are fully voiced. They maintain the same story.
Mm-hmm.
However, what they did differently was when you actually interact with Sephiroth, because in the original, you see Sephiroth like completely later on, like when you get captured or something like that in the like the Shimra building. Is that what that was?
Yeah, the center building.
The center building, exactly. That's like the first time you see Sephiroth, or was it during a flashback? I can't freaking remember.
Oh no, it technically was a flashback, but like when you actually interact with it.
Right, exactly. But in the remake, you see him like early on, like the first 2 hours. I mean, we're already getting a taste of Mr. I'll never be a memory. I shall bring forth despair. Like this early in the game? Like what?
Well, and what I love about that too is it kind of shows how they're connected early on. Like it kind of teases that, you know what I mean? Like when he's like following him and he's like this shadow.
Right.
So it kind of teases that they're connected in some way. It's very like Kingdom Hearts kind of matter.
Yes.
And I really like that.
Mhm.
I think that they added it, but I'm totally okay with it. I think it shows it very well.
And
but
like, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No. Continue with your thought.
What I was going to say about also Final Fantasy VII is that the remake, it keeps you guessing because technically the original canon did happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this new canon, which means that basically anything goes.
Mm-hmm.
So like big thing, like I'm sure like the big plot points will still happen. But like there's other things where like you're still guessing, like they could do things in a different way. So like you're still excited, even though you already know what basically is gonna happen. I love that you're still like, man, what's gonna happen? Like there's so much more that they could do and that they could, you know what I mean, and more context that they could give. Like there's so much room for them to add to an already great game,
Yes.
and and that's why it just feels like it's done with such care. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And it just gets me excited to play because, like, don't get me wrong, I loved Resident Evil 2's remake, but like, you know, I basically knew what was gonna happen. We all basically know. Where this, you're like, what? Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're like, what the fuck? Like, what's all this shit going on with Zach? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah. So I kind of like I like that because it's like it's a remake, but it's also like a reimagination, like
Yes.
it's like a sequel. Like it's weird, you know what I mean? But I like the way that it's going, and
Mm-hmm.
I liked the climax to the first part as
Yes.
well. I thought that was very very Final Fantasy. You know what I mean? Fighting giant dragon angel things in another dimension. Like that's the shit that I love Final Fantasy for.
Mm-hmm.
Give me more, please. Like, you know, you know. So, yeah, it's and like that Sephiroth fight. Whoo! My God, it felt so good. I loved it.
It was great. I just
It
find it
was
interesting that you actually fight him.
yeah, I thought that was interesting
I,
too.
I was I was not you fight him like later.
Yeah,
Like in
yeah,
there's 3 discs in the
yeah,
original. You don't fight him until like the
yeah. It was the
second disc,
second one, I believe.
and then the third disc with the
Yeah.
final battle.
Yeah. And again, like I'm completely okay with it because in a way it's kind of like him again, like taunting you, like he knows what he's doing, and like Cloud has no idea what the fuck is going on, and he's like taunting him in a way. You know what I mean? And I love that. And it kind of showed off his power. He's still not at full power, but it's showing him, you know what I mean, how he ranks up, and I loved that. And it was such a cinematic and crazy fight. Like I thought it was really fun. Like I was not upset about it. I love it. So so sick. And also like it just the presence that he has in that game. Like there's whenever I talk about villains, I just talk about presence. And like
Yes.
whenever they're there, you just go,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh shit, that's him." Like you know what I mean? Like that is him. He's
Mm-hmm.
here. And like he has such a presence to him. And I love that and they portrayed it so well. They really did.
And that's like the problem with like the original is when there's no voices because
Hmm.
like you have an idea how to act or
Yeah.
how these people are talking, but at the same time
Yeah.
they emote when they talk. Like perfect example, Barrett, he flails his arms all over the fucking place when
Yeah.
he's pissed
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. It's very limited though.
Exactly. You can't
There's not a lot of nuance to it.
exactly. You can't tell like the okay, how do I put this? The immersion is different compared
Yeah. Yes.
like
It
compared the
is.
two, but when you actually have like the actual voice acting, man, it adds so much to the dynamic.
Well, and what's cool is like you kind of see the story that they wanted to tell but couldn't because of the limitations as
Exactly.
well.
And what's amazing is that they even got the original composer
Yes.
for Final Fantasy VII, which I even found even twice as much amazing.
Yeah, I love that dude. Nobuo Uematsu is my man. That dude.
Word.
That dude is crazy. I got to see like him live at one of the orchestra concerts. It was awesome.
Oh, dude, that's badass.
Yeah, I love him. He is one of my favorite composers, definitely.
But now, yeah, like, go back to like what we were saying though, as to why we think this is the better remake.
I
Like,
feel like this. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like this podcast is just dick sucking Final Fantasy.
no, yeah, exactly, no, yeah. Okay, so let's go over on like some stuff that have been remade but didn't do well in regards to the video game spectrum. I think
Mhm.
one I'm thinking of is the third title, Resident Evil 3. It's
Yeah,
like
that's a good one.
they took out okay, how do I put this? They did a reverse.
Yeah, yeah,
They put content in there, but they took out a ton. That was
yeah,
a big thing
yes,
in the original.
yeah. They really did, and I liked the way that they characterized like Carlos and Jill and everything, and I liked their interaction and everything, and like Nikolai was cool, like you know, but like. The main what is the game called? It's called Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and he's barely fucking in it. Not even fucking in it. Like you know how we were saying like, oh, you feel like he could pop up anywhere in 2? I didn't feel that way at all in 3. I'm like, where the fuck is he? Because it's
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like there was one part where he could come out, and that was one little part, and
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty much it. And now, granted, the linear stuff, like I liked in the beginning when he comes to her apartment and shit, like that was cool.
Yeah.
But like as far as like non-linear, like just playing, it just I was like, all right, where is he? Okay,
Is
oh, there he is. Wow.
I mean,
But you know,
and Nick, here's the thing. Yeah, I like the fact that there's like the intimidation factor where you're running around trying to dodge this fucker, but at the same time, though, when he's just constantly there, and
yes, yeah.
like,
It's more of an annoyance than anything.
cause like, okay, quick question: what do you think is the difference between Mr. X compared to Nemesis as to why Mr. X is more intimidating in Resident Evil 2 compared to Nemesis in Resident Evil 3?
Well, I think the big thing too is like there's a lot more map for you to manipulate and try to like dodge him and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And also, like, he can get like Mr. X can get annoying, but for the most part, when he comes around, you're like, oh, like foils your plan, and you have to go a completely another way.
Right.
And I like that. And so in that game, they added like for lickers, they won't go for you if you don't run, but you need to run away from Mr. X. So when you have a licker and Mr. X, you're like, oh shit. And there's like a way that it's not scripted, but you're like, oh fuck, you know. But in
Mm-hmm.
3, like, there's just that little section, and he's just following you, and like he's constantly doing his stupid tentacles and you're
Like,
just like, like you're just sitting there dodging, and like there's
like,
not many places to really dodge or go. Like it doesn't really change how you play. You just kind of wait around for him to leave, and then you just go where you want to go. Like it just, and like there was something so terrifying about being downstairs in the mansion. You just hear, and you know he's above you, and you're like, oh my,
yes.
like it's so intimidating. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
like, Jesus fucking Christ. And like you know that if you take one shot, he's gonna come and get you within a few minutes,
You're
you
talking
know. And
about Mr. X, right?
yeah, Mr. X,
Yeah,
yes.
continue.
It's so different. And like Nemesis, I just did not feel that same level. Like I didn't feel like he was really stalking you. I kind of felt like he was just kind of there, and he's, you know what I mean? Like
I did. It was the he's more like the ex-boyfriend type of stalker compared to like the creepy is
yeah, yeah.
hunting you down type of stalker like Mr. X does.
Yeah, exactly. So it just felt different. And again, there wasn't as many points where he really could find you because there was a lot of scripted things. And scripted is fine. I have nothing against scripted, but just in comparison to 2, I really wish that there was more parts where he could really come out and like really make you scared, like, oh God, like, you know.
Like, dude, I had to do an entire load of laundry with Mr. X going give it to you in Resident Evil 2. However, with the mascot of I've seen of hentai where this is going in Resident Evil 3, not so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, okay, oh,
Okay.
there he is. All right, cool. And also, the other thing is, you get stuff for quote unquote killing Nemesis. Like he'll drop stuff, just like he did originally.
Yeah.
I like it when like when you actually attack like Mr. X, for instance, you don't get anything for it. He just gets slowed down a little bit, and I like that
Yes.
more because like you feel like you can't really fight back, and you don't have a reason to fight him. Like you don't want to fight him, but in 3, you're like, well, I want to fight him because I want to get the good drops. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yes.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel as intimidating to me personally, which you would think it would be more intimidating with Nemesis. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah,
And that
no,
he has a
yeah.
flamethrower and you know, or
Yeah.
rocket launcher. I don't know. And again, it was fine. Like I didn't like I liked the game. I didn't like love it like 2, but I liked it. I definitely am glad I got it, and I'm glad that they made it. But then they also took parts out of the game, and like it was just very short. And granted, I will say the original 3 was also very short. And in fact, here's a little fun fact: the original 3 wasn't supposed to be Resident Evil 3. It was supposed to be a spin-off. And then at the last second, they're like, "Hey guys, this is actually going to be 3." And they're like, "Oh, okay." Well,
Yeah.
that's why it was shorter. But like even that, the new one still was very short, even compared to the original one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's like this puzzle at the clock tower. There was the puzzle clock tower, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the main section
that
they
was the
took
main
out.
puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was surprised when they took that out. I mean,
Yeah, I'm like, and like there was, to make it even worse, that boss fight, he's like climbing on the clock tower. I'm like, really?
that's
It just
really your
just to remind me that I can't go in there. Like,
and
yeah, it was.
another thing that actually aggravated me was the Carlos at the mansion, where it's like
Mhm.
I thought that they were gonna be doing something interesting with that. Where it's like, what?
Yeah.
One thing I gotta say, guys, Resident Evil 3, believe it or not, is a prequel to Resident Evil 2.
Hmm. Well, well, it's like, so it's like a prequel, but like it's like before and after and like during too. It's kind of
Right.
weird. But anyway, sorry, continue.
No worries. So like in Resident Evil 2, you go in like this bathroom section. There's like this random hole in the bathroom and stuff like that. Be like, where the fuck did this come from? And then like when you play Resident Evil 3, when you go to the exact same section in the bathroom, the hole is not there. So it's like, oh.
Mhm.
So is this like where Mr. X like pops up or something like that? Or like, no, it's just you just taking a little bomb thing and just
Mhm.
putting it on the wall and just blows up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you could have done fucking something there.
Yeah, right.
but-
Like made it a little more interesting. Yeah, definitely. Like I like the idea of being at the RPD before Leon. Like I love that, and I love that that's a thing. But like I wish they could have explored that like a little more. You know what I mean? Definitely. I think it would have made it a bit more interesting. But you know, time constraints and all that. But still, I still think they could have added a bit more to it to make it a bit more interesting, in my
Time
opinion.
constraints and that stupid multiplayer they added.
Yes, and that was the other problem. They devoted too much time to I don't even know what it's called. It's like, oh, you're the bad guy puts you basically make like maps for people to like try to figure out an escape, and you like send enemies to them. And honestly, everyone that I talked to, old and new fans of Resident Evil, were like, yeah, I didn't even download it. Like I know I didn't. I was like, I'm good. I was like, because you could choose to download. I'm like, I'm good.
it ain't worth it, yo.
Really, really were pushing for that, you know, and they're even trying to push it still now. I think is it like free to play now or something like that?
Oh, good
They're
lord.
still pushing for it. But like I appreciate them trying to do something new. But what I was kind of hoping they would do would be like Resident Evil Outbreak, if you ever played that.
I think I have. It's been a minute.
But, like where it's like multiplayer and everyone has like this role to play and you're all trying to escape.
Oh yeah, back in the PS2 days. Continue with your explanation.
But I'm just saying, like, I get they want player versus player because they want to sell microtransactions, you know, because
Jesus Christ, yeah.
they're trying to jump on that train. But like, keep them out of Resident Evil. Like, you can. It's bad enough they're in like all the other shit, but like Resident Evil, there's no place for that in Resident Evil. And I feel like the core fans of Resident Evil don't want that. Definitely
At
not.
all.
You know,
These single play games, there's just times where like you shouldn't even just add it. Like,
yeah, yeah.
why?
And I feel like they put all this time and effort into that, and then not into making three fully realized. Yeah, you
Yes.
know what I mean? Where two was fully realized, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you can definitely tell that they were trying to do that. And what's even more funny was originally that game was supposed to be on its own. That was supposed to be like a game that you buy originally. Like they announced that first.
Right.
And then they were like, okay, guys, we are making three, but it's going to be a bundle. So they
Right.
bundled it
Right.
together because I think they realized that no one was going to buy that shit. So they're like, all right, so let's do this like where, okay, we'll get them to play online and then we'll try to get microtransactions that way. Like, you know, it was very obvious that it was an afterthought.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And it was kind of funny because I remember when they first announced it, everyone was like, "Oh, is this Resident Evil Outbreak? Like, are they remaking Outbreak?" And then it was that, and everyone's like, "Ew, no." And then they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I guess we will bundle it with Resident Evil 3."
Oh,
Like,
good lord.
you know, and like I don't know, maybe they did plan on bundling it first, but it definitely seemed like it wasn't that plan because I feel like they would have showed Resident Evil 3 first, you know, and I think they were kind of gauging the reaction, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's the way that I felt. But like again, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't nearly what two was at all. And like it's a little disappointing, but I still liked it. Overall, I still liked it. I didn't mind it.
Yeah, so like going back to what you're saying in regards to like Resident Evil 3, in regards to it being it's, I can't say it's a complete and total failure, like Lion King or Mulan level of failure,
Oh God,
but
I forgot about Mulan.
don't get me started
Oh,
on that.
I hated that movie.
Actually, yeah, Oh yeah, when it comes to complete and total failure of a remake, Mulan is probably the best example. There's gonna be
Yeah,
a lot. There's gonna be some people that's gonna disagree with me and stuff like that, but
yeah,
they just destroyed what
yeah,
Mulan was supposed to represent.
yeah. And not only that, but like I saw that they were trying to make it more like the classic story of Mulan, but even that they fucking failed at. Like, you know what I mean? even at that, trying to be like the original story of Mulan, like even that was like, stop. Like it's not.
Mulan was strong, but at the same time, like, she still went through tragedy and
Yeah,
shit.
right. Exactly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the original Mulan didn't have this bullshit called chi, where like they just magic powers to run up
Yeah.
walls and shit.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Yeah, is this fucking Naruto? Like what?
Like what the hell? Like
Yeah,
why? You're trying to make this realistic. And yeah, bro, the fucking cartoon is more realistic than this.
Yeah, I know. Like, if you're gonna go realistic, go realistic. Don't hold back, but don't mix in this. You know what?
Jesus.
It kind of reminded me of like a Bollywood movie where it's like realistic, and then they do these like crazy fucking moves and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was.
This is not Mulan. This is some Crouching Tiger bullshit.
That's exactly what it felt like. You know.
So yeah. Actually, yeah, before we wrap up here, let's start looking at remakes that were actually good. And let's make a pick in regards to remakes that were good. Like, let's pick one that's good, one that's bad, and then for the video game spectrum, one that's good, one that's bad. To the point where you shouldn't, it's what you shouldn't do in a remake.
Okay.
So let's make your pick on that.
I'm trying to think movie-wise, like a remake that I was okay with. And I don't want to just do like a so-and-so. I want to do one that I actually think was actually pretty good.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's pretty hard to think.
It's hard, and I don't want you guys to think we're just cynical assholes that hate everything. That's not the case at all. I just,
yeah, we don't hate everything. There's already a channel that's named "I Hate Everything," so we'd be copywriting that.
Yeah, exactly. God, nothing really comes to mind. And again, it makes it sound so bad. I swear, I don't hate everything. Movie was. Oh God.
Yeah, that's pretty difficult.
I'm at a loss. Like I could say ones that were okay, but I'm trying to think of one that actually stood out to make me go wow, I'm glad they made that, you know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I could not say that.
If you guys have anything in regards to movie remakes that are actually good, definitely let us know, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm at a loss too. To be honest, I don't even know why the hell I even mentioned this. I don't even know why this is a good idea.
And maybe we just don't remember right now, but I'm sure there's some. But yeah, we don't hate everything, I promise. Just most things. But bad, as you know, you've heard us talk all about the bad for that. So,
but no, yeah, remakes that just neutered the concept of remake. Y'all know what it is. For me, it's Mulan. That is something that you should never do to a character that is strong and well known as that character is. I mean, holy crap. But and like I said before, even the animation Mulan was more grounded and more realistic than the live action one. And I'm totally not just saying that because I didn't see Mulan once climb up walls.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, shoot, there was even there was actually a remake of Mulan that wasn't made by a big time studio, and it actually captured a darker essence of Mulan.
I didn't watch that, but I heard of it.
I didn't either, but from what I've seen and clips I've seen online, it's actually pretty gruesome.
Is it?
Dark, yeah. I wouldn't say gruesome, just dark. I haven't seen it, so I don't have much of an opinion on it.
Yeah, it's on my list of movies to watch, definitely.
Same. But no, yeah, Mulan, definitely one of the worst remakes you can ever do to a movie, and that's saying much. I mean, sure, Lion King was bad, but at the same time, though, I still find some aspects of it's entertaining.
So, here, the way that I put it is, Lion King isn't bad.
I would say Lion King's more mid-ground.
But Mulan is insulting. Insulting to the original. It's Lion King isn't bad, it's fine, but Mulan is straight insulting.
Right, because Lion King is more of a remaster. I can't even say remaster, but it's more of a remaster where it's
it's a weird in between.
It's like a remaster where it's just basically it's the same thing that the old movie did, just with blank slate lions and
Yes.
yeah, singing into the night during the day.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
I'm never gonna let that go. It's fucking stupid.
It is stupid.
Whereas when it came to Mulan, I mean, they definitely did something unique in regards to changing a lot of things in regards to the story.
Mhm.
However, they completely, utterly, and emphasis of the word, butchered it.
Yeah.
It was completely butchered. They did not do that justice whatsoever. It's like when it comes to
Agreed.
remakes, you're supposed to come up with ways to make it, interesting.
Mhm.
I mean, yes, from what we said earlier, yes, the biggest things when it comes to a remake is making those changes. And changes are great. However, when it comes to making those changes, you have to make the movie close to the source material, like close to where gives us reasons as to why we liked the previous iteration in the first place. Like, liven it up. Pun not intended, of course. They didn't have any of that. And here's the thing, I'm all about bold changes. I'm all about those bold changes, but at the same time, though, every single decision that they made in this movie is just not executed well. Like, bro, I couldn't count how many times my suspension of disbelief has been broken watching this movie.
Yeah, agreed.
What's yours for movies?
As far as for bad movie like remake,
Yeah.
I would say I would definitely say Jungle Book. Like it didn't really blow my mind. Like it wasn't bad, but I don't know, it was fine. I didn't hate it, but I don't know.
Jungle Book was my problem with the movie is that they made it dark. And not dark as in atmosphere, dark as in lighting.
Yeah, they did.
I couldn't see a damn thing. And keep in mind the sun was out. Like what?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the animation was like it was take it or leave it. Like some parts were good and other parts were
Yeah.
off.
The problem is the CG in regards to the monkeys. Like, I feel like they just weren't there. They look fake. I can feel like the only time that something that was actually animated well was, what was it? Clash of the Monkeys? Not Clash of the Monkeys. What the fuck is it called?
Oh, you mean
Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I actually enjoyed that. That's when I will say that I enjoyed. So yeah, that comes with a remake that I enjoyed. I did enjoy.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a remake. I did enjoy that one. I enjoyed how they reimagined it, and I thought it was good.
Yes.
Overall, I thought the trilogy was pretty solid, which is funny because I never usually gave a shit about Planet of the Apes. Like I watched the very original, and I was like, it's fine. And then I watched like the early 2000s one. I'm like, it's okay. And then I watched this one. I'm like, all right, that was pretty good. I liked that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my stepfather showed me those movies back in back in like 2007. It's like, it's like. It's more of a laugh rather than something I could just take seriously.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I liked the new one. So that's a good one. I'm glad you brought that up because that is one that I did like.
I still can't get that dude kissing that monkey. I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let's incorporate bestiality. Yeah, they'll definitely.
Yeah, yeah, we love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would probably be my pick of a good one. I'm glad you brought that up. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, dude. But and
it's forever strong.
I'm not gonna lie though. The most memorable thing I can think of from that movie was Draco Malfoy's character. He's
yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Like you see a pissed off Caesar grabbing Draco Malfoy's character, right? And then you hear Draco Malfoy giving off the classic line, "Unhand me, you damn dirty ape." And then, from the gut, you hear Caesar going off, "No!" It's his first words, like, whoa!
Yeah. God damn!
That was unexpected. Yeah. How could, that one line just make me just, holy shit, that was intimidating.
Yeah. And again, this is coming from a person who didn't give a shit about Planet of the Apes before. Like, I saw them all, but I never really gave a shit.
Yeah, dude.
Pretty good. My girlfriend showed it to me because she's like, I think you'd like it. I'm like, I actually did.
Probably one of the best remakes that I've ever watched.
See, audience, we don't hate everything.
Just saying,
we like
man.
things. See,
Yeah, perfect example. I like cake. See? Shows that, okay, well, maybe, okay, I fucking hate coconut. Okay, damn it, now I'm actually missing.
You're fucking hating on shit. Cake.
Yeah, cake. That's a lie, anyways.
All my homies hate cake.
Oh man, so like for video games, what do you say is like the worst remake?
I would say, oh, that's a good question. For bad, it's funny. It's the opposite spectrum. It's hard for me to think of like a really bad one,
Yeah,
but it's easy to think of a really good one. But it's hard.
yeah,
Because there's a lot of really good remakes for video games. Like a lot of them are usually pretty well done. And I could say Silent Hill, but that wasn't a remake, that was a remaster.
yeah.
So that didn't count. That doesn't really count because that was trash. But man, that one I might have to come back to because I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of one that like I can think of ones that were like but I can't think of one that was like holy that sucked. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's one of those things where like Resident Evil. I can't even. Okay, like now that you say it in that way, it's like Resident Evil 3. I was about to say was my worst one, but it's like I can't even say it's the worst because it's even though it just negated everything that was semi good with the third installation of the series. It still was good and visually pleasing. So
yeah, it was fine. And I guess the one that comes closest to it, and it's not really a remake, it's more of a reboot, but like DMC. But even that, like the gameplay the gameplay was fine, but just the whole everything else I did not like. But that wasn't really a remake. It was like a reboot.
How about if we you know what? We said reboot.
Yeah. So I'll go with that. I'll go with that one. I would say that's probably the one I hate the most.
Yeah. When it comes to Devil May Cry, that game series is probably the main game I played along with like what was it? God of War and Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. The beat 'em up slashing games.
Yep. I love Ninja Gaiden Sigma.
It's
so
freaking
good.
It's freaking amazing.
Hey, that counts as a fucking remake.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah, there you go. I love Sigma. That's my shit.
That is definitely badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah, and it's hard as shit.
Mine is just 100%. I would have to go with Final Fantasy VII for my favorite.
Yeah, I would say overall favorite. I would agree. Final Fantasy VII. As anyone who listened to this, if you did, you probably already knew that, but.
What cracks me up is the fact that the reason why some people didn't like the game is because of the fact that, well, one, it's a complete total semi-change in regards to the story, which is what made it interesting. But not only that, but also because it's not turn-based combat, which is, I mean, what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I personally really liked the combat. I thought it was a nice in-between to turn-based and action.
I agree. I find it interesting because it's pretty much Final Fantasy 15's combat. Kind of.
But I don't want to go too much in depth. We were wrapping up. But maybe we'll do a video. Maybe we'll do a whole video about it. Who knows?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you guys want, let us know what topic you guys want us to go over. We covered a lot of shit here.
Yeah. But hey, thanks for listening to us ramble. If there's anything else, I think we're good with that. It's good timing.
So let's see. We usually rate stuff here, but it's like that's only for movies and shit like that, so we'll just skip that.
Yeah, we don't really need that. Rate our episode. Our episode was 6 out of 10. Okay.
I give it 2 cupcakes out of 15 creamily custard donuts.
Too much water. All right. Well, I think that's a good stopping point, though. Thanks for listening, y'all, if you made it this far.
Thanks, y'all, for listening. And, this is BTM signing out. Peace!
Bitch.